November 19th, 2024. We are in San Diego at the awesome San Diego State University. I took some courses here, but I didn't have a program. Okay, we are with...
Angelica Barajas, B-A-R-A-J-A-S.
Oh, okay, thank you. And, you know, it's pretty noisy during the event and before, and we'll just kind of pan around. We can kind of walk around. I just don't want to go too far with the equipment there. Kind of tell us how this got started, what is your focus, and then I'll have maybe a few questions that you might be able to answer for us.
So it's really a mix of a bunch of community here at SDSU, but also just as San Diego community overall. A lot of us come from a bunch of different organizations. This isn't necessarily an official event, but we do encourage many students and staff or anyone else who has the ability to come out and protest. I personally am affiliated with the Feminist Outreach Coalition. I believe you talked to our president earlier, Tess. And yeah, so what we really want to do is just sort of advocate for trans students and display that SDSU should not be affiliating with someone like Riley Gaines, who is a very adamant transphobe and has built an entire foundation and center on being transphobic against specifically trans athletes. And we just wanted to come out and, you know, show our support against it, and also show other students here what is happening on campus, and, you know, dispel any myths or ideas of what could be, you know, talked about today.
And are trans students being discriminated at San Diego State University? Do you feel they are? Either by other students or staff members, professors, teachers?
I think there can be maybe a tendency more towards not outright aggression towards trans students, but definitely a level of ignorance maybe between a lot of educators who maybe, you know, aren't as well informed about transgender or any other sort of LGBTQIA plus community. So I definitely think they could have, you know, maybe a bit more of stake in who their students are and get to know them, and just, you know, do their best, especially just to try and be more respectful and inclusive when talking to their students.
So there's two sets of chromosomes, right?
As far as I'm aware, I'm not a biology student by any means.
Okay. Well, there's a male, a biological male. He has a certain chromosomes, and the female has the opposing chromosomes. And so is your focus with transgenderism that you don't trust the science in saying there's more genders or affiliations? I'm not talking about people who may change their physical appearance or even surgeries, right? Mm-hmm. But would you agree that there's there's biological male and a biological female, and you were born by that cross of parents, as I was, right?
Well, for one, I believe, if I remember correctly, there are actually 13 different variations of chromosomes between men. But even then, gender is different than sex. That's at least what I've learned thus far. And I do believe students, and anybody for that matter, is able and, you know, should be able to present and change themselves however they wish, with the ability that they should be able to, and they should not face any repercussions, at least from, you know, institutions like their school, maybe the government themselves, from deciding to change themselves that way.
So you don't have any issue with boys going in girls sports or girls going in boys sports at different levels, from elementary school to college?
Well, if you're talking about men, as in trans women going into women's sports, then no, I don't have an issue with that.
Say that again?
If you're talking about men, as in trans women going into women's sports, no, I don't have an issue with that.
You mean women's sports? Or men going... Oh, trans men's going into women's sports.
If you're calling...
So, I got you.
Men
so, like Leah Thomas.
I'm sorry?
Like Leah Thomas.
I don't recall the name off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
He was the swimmer that won the medal against Riley Gaines, a man.
See, no, my understanding was they actually just tied for 5th, which wouldn't be winning.
Well,
I
he
don't
won
think.
the medal.
I assume if it was qualifying races, no?
No, it was a championship.
Was it a championship?
Yeah.
Well, my understanding is that she came.
She was on the podium, but she didn't get the first place. But anyway, okay. So, what are your friends' goal here? Are they to educate, agitate, informational? What are they for? They could come up here if they'd like.
I think they might be all right, but overall, our main goal would be to educate, but also just display that overall students at SDSU, if it might be a small group of us, you saw there were more of us earlier, do have something to say against a lot of this, transphobic rhetoric that's being spread, especially on our campus, which claims to be a very LGBTQIA plus safe community.
Oh, you're saying that San Diego State has a lot of transphobic?
I say if they're putting this person on a platform to spew a lot of transphobic rhetoric, then how can they be doing their almighty best to support trans students?
Well, what I heard in there, listening to Riley, that she doesn't have any issue, and this is what she just said, she doesn't have any issue with trans people. She certainly has issues with a child versus an 18-year-old adult making the surgeries and all that kind of stuff, right? And I've met Chloe Cole. Do you know her?
I don't think so.
She's a young woman, Orange County, and she actually did the surgeries. She from transitioning to a boy. Okay, so it was different, right? And she had the whole surgeries and everything. And I actually met her. But anyway, so. Why is the group not liking Riley Gaines? Riley Gaines has not attacked anybody, to my knowledge. She has a history of being a high achieving competitive swimmer, right? College, right? Collegiate, in the NCAA or whatever it's called. But let's just go back. What if she was here right today? What would you folks say to her? If she came up and she said, "Hey, let's talk," would you talk to her?
I would probably not speak to her directly, but I would likely say something along the lines, as I think most of us would, of just don't be transphobic, please. I think it's also another thing of they don't realize the harm they're doing in spreading a lot of transphobic rhetoric in claiming, well, I don't want men to be in my sport, of just not accepting that. But they're not men, they're trans men.
So how can everybody try to get along? Because we're going into a new, with the political results last 2 weeks, I think we're going into a completely different, the whole country is going to be different, right? Hopefully for the best, we don't know. Hopefully we'll stay out of wars, right? And and I don't believe Trump has ever discriminated against any. He's actually has several. His Secretary of Health is a transition woman. I can't think of her name.
I know who you're speaking.
You know who I mean, right? He's Surgeon General or something like that. And then their press secretary is a lesbian, right? And so that's Biden, I'm sorry. But, and I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I just hope that people can have a conversation. But conversely, if you had a recognizable, noted trans person to speak here, do you believe you'd have any protesters? I mean, if they spoke to a small group, the auditorium is not very big. If they just came out, there were no, I can't, the name, let's say that surgeon lady under the Biden administration, she, Surgeon General, whatever, whoever she is, okay, she's transitioned, right? Okay, so if she came here and talked, and probably a lot of you folks would go to hear, do you think people would be protesting? I'm just asking the question. I don't know. You're into this force, right, of change that you want. But do you think there'd be counter protesters?
Honestly,
you had a good crowd tonight.
It's difficult to say. I really didn't think we'd have as big of a population who'd be interested in hearing from Riley Gaines in the first place, but apparently there was. So I can really only assume that people would be there to resist if a trans-spoke person for any particular movement would come and speak for any particular reason. I could only assume there would be maybe a little bit of pushback, as there can be with any sort of political activism that's discussed on campus, if it's related to that. So I'm really not sure.
Well, can we just wrap it up and meet some of the folks over here?
I think...
Just walk over there. I'll bring my camera.
No, I don't think they're going to be interested in speaking
They're not?
to anyone
Okay.
at the moment. Yeah,
all right, because I did... first of all, I want to thank you for your time.